All right, here we are live we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Roku, and Amazon Fire TV. This is Bobby Blagic. I'm back. First of all, this is our pregame show for the St. John's game. The one game I wanted to watch all season, and I'm working, unfortunately, off-site, so I can't be there today. If I wasn't at the resort, I'd be in Dallas right now. So either way, I was going to miss this game. But before we get started, Nick, great job hosting the show the other night in my absence.
Thank you, Bobby.
I
appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. I had your guidance, and I had a great group. So, yeah, I appreciate the kind words.
Excellent. Let me Nick, start with your Nick and Paul, start with your opening thoughts. I'll get the show ready and blast it to the rest of the Saints.
I think tonight, this is a game. Look, we're coming in here as the underdog, but I have to tell you, this is a game. This is going to be a very emotional game. And let's face it, this is the Kadary Richmond game. I'm here now, and everyone I talk to has an opinion. You know, if they're going to boo Kadary, if their blame is on us for not having enough money to outbid the vitamin water guy. I in a smaller context, that's what it is, that in a subset. But this game's bigger than that. This is the Seton Hall St. John's rivalry that goes way back. I remember going to the infamous toilet paper game at Walsh. So Seton Hall had a thing where they would score the first basket and the students, the fans, would throw toilet paper on the court. No harm, right? Except Lucan and Seton made a big stink about it before we played them. And so Seton Hall clamped down. They checked. No one was going to sneak toilet paper in. Seton Hall scored the first. They scored a basket, but it was blown off, and like 2 reams of toilet paper went out. And I think Matt Lachlan, who was doing the game at the time, made a comment like, oh, they were ready for this. Well, Danny Calandrillo went baseline, threw up a shot, it went in, and there was more toilet paper than at a hospital during flu season. And it was insane. Yeah, it was just, you can't even imagine that happening now. And my friend Gene Pearley was a manager. The poor guy had to go out there with Leo the custodian and clean it all up. But this game has more meaning than just Kadary Richmond. There are rivals. They have Patino. He's, talking smack. He made a remark I heard on the Fan last year that, he only signed players when he got there that went to class, insinuating that Dylan didn't go to class. Come on, Rick. Such a low blow. So, I would love, my head tonight says St. John's, my heart 100% behind the Pirates. What do you think, Paul?
Well, I think that it is going to be the Kadary Richmond show there tonight. As much as, you're right, Nick, that this game is about a lot more than that. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he responds. He may drop 25 on us, and he may throw the ball into the stands the first 6 times he touches it, right? I mean, we've seen both kinds of play from him when he was here. I think that his points, Nick, you've mentioned this a bunch of times, his productivity is down about 30% if you look at points and rebounds over last year. He doesn't fit into the St. John's Rick Pitino style of play, which is about 3 points and running up and down the floor. I still think he will make a couple of big plays tonight, and we'll have to see how it goes. I also think that St. John's is a 10-point favorite and should be, but there have been a lot of upsets this week. It's upset season in college basketball, late January, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
All right, hello to Bill Hathaway, who's probably there in the media section, waiting for the game to start. Hello, Bill. Bill will be a guest on our show soon.
Bill, that is the famous William from Orange on Hallline. I haven't heard him call this year, but he's a very knowledgeable fan. Hey, what's up, buddy? I missed you. Call Hallline tonight.
Yeah, me, Bill. Always hang out to watch the women's games in press row. So, hey, Bill, what's up? All right. Again, great game. I guess my opening thoughts would be, again, I don't know how to react to this game. I think, all right, here's the first thing. I saw a lot of different messages throughout the week, especially the second half of the week, regarding Kadary. Some people said he helped us win the NFC Championship. I disagree, because that first game in Walsh, and I'm sure, Nick, you were there, he did nothing that game. He was out of it. He wasn't even in that same state.
And Bobby, you could make the argument that was our toughest game until we got up to Butler.
Exactly. So I don't want to. No, it was Amir Dawes. It was Dre Davis. Those are the guys that won this NIT championship. At least not that first game, because Kadary was checked out. He was gone at that point. He was gone. So I don't think up those winners. He was part of the team. He rose the trophy up, but again, there's role players and there's whatnot, but that wasn't him. By the way, real quick, I digress for a second. The point spread of this Chiefs game was 8.5 points. A minute and a half to go. The Texans go for a field goal, which if they made it, makes it a 7-point game, and it gets blocked. You can't tell me there's weird stuff going on in sports betting. Then I think you're missing the boat there.
That is exactly the reason why I don't bet on sports. Exactly the reason. You're watching the game. My daughter Christina just told me that Taylor is sitting with Caitlin Clark. Is that true?
I did not see that. By the way, real quick, get back to the show the other night. Again, I couldn't join the show. I was at a game broadcasting. You guys were mentioning the coaches of Butler. That's her boyfriend on the bench there.
Yes. Really?
Yeah, the one McCaffrey's son is one of them who's dating.
That's Caitlin Clark's boyfriend?
Yes.
I did not know. Oh wow.
So who knows? Maybe we'll see her. Maybe we'll see her in Prue Center when they come to town, Butler.
That is so cool. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, because he was a coach somewhere else last year. All right. Without further ado, again, welcome to the pregame show versus St. John's. I'm with my co-host Nick from Millburn, and of course, we're gonna go right into Paul Just a Fan's pregame analysis and scouting report. Paul, take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Blackjack. So Seton Hall is playing, in my opinion, the best team in the Big East tonight. And I think St. John's is the most underrated team in the country. See, St. John's is 15-3, 6-1 in conference. It's lost its 3 games by a combined 6 points against all teams that are going to be in the tournament. Baylor, Georgia, and Creighton, especially Creighton coming off of their win against UConn today. St. John's is unranked. And in Lunardi's latest bracketology, he had him as a 7 seed. Now, if you're a 2 seed and you got to play St. John's on the second day of the NCAA tournament, I think you're going to be screaming about how the brackets were built, because that is a very tough second-seeded game. I think that they're going to have to move up. St. John's best player is junior guard R.J. Lewis, who averages 17 points and 6.5 rebounds a game. And their junior forward, Zuby Ejiofor, who averages 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 block shots. Their best three-point shooter is out for tonight. Devian Smith will not
Paul,
play.
We talked about that earlier. He is definitely out.
I read something on one of the other blogs that said he wasn't going to play. Now,
because that's the key. Because he's their best scorer. So that's
he's
big.
their best 3-point shooter. He's the only matter of fact, he's the only guy on the team that can't shoot the 3.
They were flat in their last game without him on the court. That's very interesting.
Yeah, they were, and you got to remember that when they don't shoot, they were 3 of 18 from 3 against Providence, 2 of 16 against Xavier, 1 for 21 from the 3-point line against Butler, and they won all 3 of those games.
You know, Kadari's not going to hit the 3s.
No, he's shooting under 20% from the 3-point line this year. Now, St. John's is a Rick Pitino coach. Rick Pitino has made his life on the 3-point shot. So how is a Rick Pitino team going to win if they can't shoot 3s? This team is defensively as good as anybody in the country. They are 10th in offensive rebounds per game, 3rd in the nation in block shots, 12th in the nation in steals, 28th in the country, and 1st in the league in rebound percentage. So this is the kind of team that gets every rebound. They have a hand in every passing lane. They deny every shot, and they simply outwork and wear down the teams that they're playing against. And if you look, they score in the 70s. They do not score a lot of points, but they pound teams and they keep on hitting the boards, and that's how they win. So I think in this particular game, I think it'd be very embarrassing if a team came into the Rock and out scrapped Seton Hall. And that's what St. John's is going to need to do if they're going to win tonight. As we said before, it is upset season. We've seen Tennessee. We've seen Iowa State lose to West Virginia. There have been some big upsets right now. And so I'd like to see one tonight. I believe that St. John's will win. The bookmakers are saying 73-65 St. John's. But I'd like to see Seton Hall steal one at home against maybe an overconfident St. John's with a Kadary Richmond who's in his own world tonight.
I think.
So what do I know? I'm just a fan.
Very interesting, and I think you were spot on. But what's very interesting, and you go back and they always say styles make fights. Styles could make this game. Because the one thing that we have going is Kadary likes to play slow. And that suits us to a T. They don't score a lot and they play defense. At our best, our strength is our defense. So if we could get into a game at halftime that's in the 30s maybe, we will have a shot. Because that is when we play our best. And again, we need Isaiah Coleman as our best player to be the best player on the court tonight.
Any chance Isaiah covers Kadary tonight?
That's an interesting point. He very well might. What do you think, Paul?
Well, I would imagine that is Dylan going to play tonight?
According to Bill Hathaway, he's not playing. He's getting it confirmed now.
Okay,
he says he's not playing, and he's getting it confirmed while he's there. So good job by Bill there.
Okay.
I think the best guy that would drive Kadary crazy is Scotty coming off the bench, because Scotty is just all energy, all arms. That's maybe who I would put on Kadary. And then I would do something. I would back off of Kadary, force him to shoot the threes, and then if he drives, you have the big man collapse. So I think if there is no one in the country that knows Kadary's game any better than Shaheen Holloway. So that's an advantage that we have going for us.
I think the more important question is who's gonna guard Ejiofor, right? I mean, this is a big man who plays down low, and the three-headed monster has not been particularly effective on either side of the basketball. I think that if he's going to be the key, I think we can handle their guards with our guards defensively. Again, they don't shoot the three well. We can back off and let them try to drive. But when the ball goes inside, who's going to guard Ejiofor? That's my big concern.
I think I was talking to you early, Paul, and you made a good point with the three-headed monster. Maybe some hack-a-shack, and just like everyone play really tough defense and rotate them in and out and let them get their fouls. Let them be aggressive, and hopefully they can wear him down. Because you're right, he's tough inside. He's as good as the post player that we faced all year.
And the last thing I would say is we have seen the Hall play better when something happens to increase the intensity. I go back to that technical foul that Coach Holloway got in the beginning of the second half of the DePaul game. And then we played the best 18 and a half minutes of the season after that. You hate to say something like this, but I hope there's a little chippiness at the beginning of this game. A little shoving, a little something that goes on that gets everybody fired up. Because St. John's that's the way they play. And we're going to need to match that intensity. And there very well may need to be something that gets them fired up.
A trademark of Shaheen Holloway's teams are toughness, grit, and defense. So if they do challenge us, we can't back down. We have to stand up. You're right. And we'll know a lot early. The great Mr. Morgan has arrived.
How you doing, guys?
What's up, Nick?
Not too much.
Nick, what do you think about tonight? The men's game.
I think the men's game is going to be tough. I know a lot of students are planning to be there. What I've kind of heard chatter-wise on campus lately is a lot more in support of Kadary than against. I don't know how much you guys have talked about them already. That's technical difficulties going on here tonight, but a lot of people are there for Kadary. I know they're supporting Richmond and all of his efforts from last year, of course. There's also the Seton Hall uniform debuting tonight for the Pirates. I think maybe that'll bring some excitement at the very least. Maybe give them a chance to kind of debut some new ranks, maybe make it work that way. But I think this is one of the more underrated teams in all of basketball right now. And I think the way the Females are playing, it's going to be tough to go ahead and stay in this one if they get behind early, which is kind of what we've been trying to do. So strong support, I think this game is very important early on.
All right, Nick, thanks for joining us. While we're waiting for, real quick, let's see what the Shock Monster's up to. This is not his section yet, but he is there, so let's see what he's up to. Shock Monster, what are you doing, buddy? Hold on. He's muted. I can't hear you.
It looks like he's in the student section. Is he?
Yeah, he's trying to recruit players to join our page and everything, but he has his mic off. Come on, Zach. What are you doing over there? We can't tell him anything, right?
No.
Come on, Zach.
Tonight's his night. He's fan of the game.
Fan of the game, yes.
He's going to get honored. He did it now, but at halftime they're going to show the video of his. He's with somebody now.
Mike, Glenn, turn your. He can't hear us. Oh boy.
Be a great
It'd be
segment.
great if he had his mic on, right? It'd be tremendous. He's in the student section, for God's sakes. I tell you what, let's. All right, I hate to cut him off. Let him do his thing. But Nick, let's take your turn. What's up with the women's team?
Yeah. So, Paul, I know you and I were talking earlier on tonight or this afternoon about March Madness and kind of what that looks like. And as I was doing research on the subject here, the bubble is apparently, at least that's what kind of what everyone's saying right now. Journalists are saying the bubble is weak. And usually a team within the bubble, first four out or next four out, is like one solid win away from making themselves a name and being right there on the edge of getting in. As of right now, we are sixth. So we're in the part of the next four out. And journalists are saying this year that one quality win might not be enough to get a team like Seton Hall in the bracket. So it's going to be tough when it comes to March Madness. But right now, what we're looking at is we have 4 losses on the season. One is to Creighton, who is one of only 2 teams in the Big East that actually have a bid right now. UConn is the number 2 seed. Creighton's the number 7 seed. So an 8-point loss to Creighton. We lost 91-64 to LSU, who was 5th in the country at the time. We lost to the 6th-ranked USC, who was 84-51. And then we also lost to Princeton 78-75. Princeton is an 11 seed. That was a close game. And March Madness right now, if we don't win against UConn tomorrow and we don't beat them at home, that might be one of the only quality wins we could really pick up the rest of the season because the Big East is so weak. Only 2 teams right now from the Big East are projected to make it. That's tied with the Ivy Leagues for one of the worst represented conferences in college basketball right now, or in women's college basketball for that bracket. We have 2 teams, the Ivy League has 2 teams. So right now it's all about margins and point margins and point differentials. So at the very least tomorrow, if we don't come away with the win, we need to hold UConn relatively close, keep them in grasp. The LSU loss was significant. The USC loss was also pretty hefty. But Princeton, right there, a 3-point loss. It was a 1-possession game. That was the deciding factor for us. So with Princeton already in as an 11 seed, you would think that we'd get a little more recognition, but these UConn games, the 2 games that we're going to have against them this season, very important point differential-wise. Otherwise, coming off of a big Marquette win, 58-52 on Wednesday. That was part of the doubleheader slate. The men and women both had a watch party on Seton Hall's campus. Jada Eads led the way with 20 points and 3 steals. Faith Masonis had 14 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. And Jacayla Craft had herself a career game, 10 points, which is a single season or a single game high so far in the year. 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. Jacayla Craft has been complimenting Janiyah Bland-Fitzpatrick very well. They've kind of been one or the other's been taking a bigger role in some of these games off the bench. It was Jacayla Craft's turn against Marquette. A big win for her and Seton Hall that night without Craft's contributions. We're talking about a much different outcome against Marquette. So big win there, a margin of at least, I think, 15 or 16 points ahead of Marquette at one point. So this team is looking good. Right now we are 4-0 on the road. Tomorrow is a road game against UConn, so maybe it's going to be our time to kind of get Gino and at least keep us in the conversation there. But we complement each other so well, the bench players and the starters. We have UConn tomorrow, St. John's on the 25th, and Butler on the 29th to round out the month. We are 15-5 and 7-2 with an ideal end to January if we lose tomorrow and then win to St. John's and Butler. I like how that sounds. 15-5, 7-2. I think that is a fantastic start of the season. We have 6 weeks left of college basketball. Tony Bozzella said that out of all of our injured players right now, this is Bobby on your talk show with Coach Boz. He said that Savannah Catalan is the closest to coming back, which is huge for us. She is a big catalyst, a big factor. So currently 13-4 and 5-1 in conference play. If we can make it 15-5 and 7-2, however you want to split that, if we maybe get a win against UConn and lose to one of those smaller teams that we're facing at the end of the month, fantastic. But I really like looking. And aside from margin of error, I think we do have a shot, and we should at least be within the next 4 out, or in the first 4 out conversation. But I think this team can potentially make Big East or March Madness.
Now you were saying that there's no such thing as moral victories in sports, but if we can keep this game close tomorrow, it's going to open a lot of eyes for the NCAA women's committee that comes down to March Madness. So this is actually a bigger game than you can imagine. Like I said, if we win, it's monumental. Right? If we keep it close, it's it's still a positive outcome, for the program.
Let me ask you this, Nick or Bobby. Do you guys know the last time that we actually beat UConn?
I think we've lost at least the last 10 games, I want to say.
I mean, when's the last time UConn was bad? Right?
Right.
I think that far back.
And the UConn women don't lose a lot of game in stores. That much is for sure. This would be the biggest, have to be considered one of the biggest wins in program history. Right? If the women go into stores and knock off that I'm editing myself, that gentleman Ariema up there, you'd have to consider that to be one of the best. I'm sorry. He's the kind of guy who you would want to punch in the face if he was standing in front of you with a quick check pouring a coffee for himself. That's the only way I can describe it. Pouring a coffee.
Now, Paul, who do you punch first? Oriema or Patino?
Well, Nick and I were having an interesting conversation about the rather story off the court career of Rick Pitino. Personally, I've never been involved in a situation where I got extorted by someone I had met for 15 minutes because I was having a sexual encounter with her in a restaurant while one of my assistant coaches guarded the door. I just don't have that interesting a life. And that was one of 3 scandals that he had while he was at Louisville. So I think life has punched him in the face quite enough. Ariema has a special place in my heart. I think more than you have to go into some of the Red Sox of the early 2000s, people like Pedro Martinez, to find someone who I despise with the same level of vinegar. But again, that's just me.
So, Nick, I looked it up. I'm on the UConn Huskies website. UConn has won the last 39 games, ranging from February 6th, 1994 to February 7th, 2024. Seton Hall women have only beaten them once. Oof. And it was, when Seton Hall was home. So UConn is 25-0 at home against us and 24-1 on the road, and an 8-0 conference record. So it's been a long.
You said the last one was in 1994.
That's what it says here.
And what year were you born?
2004.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, there was one time within the past 5 years when UConn came to Walsh, and I thought we had a slightly better than usual chance. And that was the year we had Espinoza. I forget her name off the top of my hand. She was a tall Spanish girl.
Was it Andrea Espinosa?
Yeah, right. She was good.
Yeah, she was very good.
She was very good, but that game she was suspended for the game, right? And I thought that I was like, oh my god, because that was the one. Because you had her, you had Lauren Park Layton, you had Sydney Cooks, I believe, at that point. I could be wrong, but that was the one team I thought maybe had a chance to keep it close. And she goes and gets suspended for that game, unfortunately.
So, Nick, I wasn't a math major at Seton Hall, but if I did the math correctly, we played them 50 times, and they're 49-1 against us?
They're 53-1.
Wow.
53-1, yeah.
Well, I
It's
think
almost like UConn. Go to the SEC conference and play. Why are you
could
here
make
for?
well, Blackjack, you could make the argument that we're due.
We are.
Do
I'd say, yeah.
we're due for a championship too? I don't know if that's happening anytime soon. Oh man! All right, I think Stack Monster is ready for us. Glenn,
Turn off your mute.
Glenn, you there? We need to teach Glenn sign language so he knows.
Glenn does look like he's having fun, though.
Oh, he's having a ball there. That he throws. All right, we'll get him back. All right, so here we go. It's 7:44. Glenn's about to have his big moment. Again, congratulations to the Stack Monster, fan of the game, for his being a season ticket holder. That's fantastic. I think the only greater accomplishment for Glenn would be when they salute like the former soldier of the game. They haven't done that much this year, right? I haven't seen it, Nick.
I haven't seen that this year now.
Yeah, they have done that in the past, which is a great moment when they recognize a local hero and former courage soldier in our midst fan. All right, so it's almost 1:45. We'll try to get Glenn back on. I know he's doing his thing right now. Hope someone's recording it so we can watch it afterwards. We're all here on the show. Hopefully, maybe Gister's busy, right? So he's not recording this. So hopefully, someone records Glenn's moment. Oh! The big boss comes in and with a great comment. Will Slick Rick Pitino be wearing the white? He might. Matter of fact, he may have a limo. In fact, the team arrived on bus, and Pitino arrives in a limo. And when the game's over, he's gonna go party somewhere in Bayside, Brooklyn, with some honeys probably, and do some disco dancing. I will not put it against the team.
Well, when Phil Leotardo came out to New Jersey, it didn't go particularly well for him either. If you're
Now, Paul, you don't know this about me yet, but I used to work at the Bada Bing, so 8 years.
Satin Dolls. Yeah. Well, never been in it.
Yeah, I worked there 8 years before COVID, and COVID happened and kind of got it. I was there a long time. According to Bill Hathaway, good crowd coming in, late crowd, which good sign. Thanks, Bill. All right,
what
let's
I don't
go
like,
final
Bobby,
thoughts.
is as I look around, I'm sitting here in what used to be the ice bar. I'm seeing a lot too much red, more red than I wanted to see.
And at the resort I work at, a lot of St. John's fans up here as well. A lot of the guests are St. John's fans, so oh boy, we need this win. And I'll start off with the final thoughts, and I'll go around the horn. Maybe Glenn joins us. Hey, this is our big dance, right? We win this game today, and no matter what our final record is, it helps. There's two things I see are working in our favor. Win this game, it's our big dance, right? And also the fact that Rutgers keeps losing, and two top 5 recruits, and you guys can't barely beat 500. So it makes me feel good. No, Rutgers is that bad. Now, Nick from Milburn, I know you're at the game. I want you to get to the seat. What are your final thoughts?
I look at this game. On paper, they're better than us. This game, like I said earlier, is a lot more than Kadary Richmond. But the thing is, next to Rutgers, who we all despise, this is our rival. None of us are big Pitino fans. This is a game where you could take records and stats like Army, Navy, and just throw it out the window. And this is going to be an emotional game. And we do, hopefully we will come up, we will come out on top if the game turns into a street fight, if the game turns into a defensive struggle, and if this game turns into a low-scoring game, we have a shot. If this game is a little bit more high tempo, I'm sorry, guys, but I'm very interested in the reaction that Kadary Richmond's going to get. Thank you, guys.
All right, Nick, enjoy the game and go Irish.
Yes, Monday night, go Irish.
Go Irish. All right, Paul, what's your final thoughts?
I think that a lot of what Nick said, I agree with. And if the Stock Monster comes on, I'll stop talking. If he could work the mute button.
Yeah, that's Paul. That's this week's lesson on Media 101. Stock Monster. No, we need to have a certain hand signal, like turn your mic on or something. We got to figure out some kind of our own sign language there.
Yeah, I haven't worked a lot in media, but I know turning your microphone on is a big key. I think I feel bad that Dylan can't play because I think he would have something to say or do with Kadary in a game like this. I think that this has been a week of upsets in Tennessee, Iowa State, UConn. This is the time of year for it. And St. John's has a very strange trip. It's a road trip that's not a road trip. This is a road game that they don't have to get on an airplane or even, they're taking a 25-minute bus ride from their campus over to the game, and then they're going home afterwards. So it's all a little bit weird. And I'm hoping that the oddness of this plays into Seton Hall's favor, that St. John's comes in this strange situation and manages to come through. That and Seton Hall manages to whack them because they're not ready. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by the Stock Monster, so I'm going to stop. Thank you very much, Blackjack, for hosting as always.
As always, Nick, where are you from?
I'm from Piscataway. So I'm actually the backyard of Rutgers.
Nick from Rutgers land, we'll call you from now on.
Yes, yeah.
Nick from enemy territory.
Yes, I'm home right now. So I am right by Jersey Mike's Arena, actually. But for me, I kind of want to back what Paul said. Being at the Big East tournament last year and facing St. John's at MSG and how unfair that felt at the time because of how many St. John's fans were there and how much of an impact that made. It's tough. It's a tough game. So I don't know how that mindset is going to affect the Seton Hall fans today. We know that they travel well. Paul was talking about it is a close trip for them, 25, 30 minutes. For fans and players alike to get in. So we'll see how that works out. St. John's, high tempo, fast paced. They score a lot, but Seton Hall's, pride is their defense. They are a defensive first team. If we can get some big stops early on, the big thing is not to fall back early. And I think that's kind of what's been happening a lot to us this season is we get behind so fast. And if we can keep our heads in it the first 10 minutes of this game, and keep it close, and halftime be within 10 or 12 points. I think no matter what's going on, whatever the mentality is, I think it's a game that we can come back from and we can come back and win. Kadary, of course, is the big headline. We all know that. I don't want to beat the dead horse too much, but Kadary is going to be key, and I think he's due maybe for a big game. Either way, I loved him last year. It's tough to see him in the Johnny's uniform tonight, watching from home. But, outside of tonight's game, I wish him success, throughout. But tonight, we really need to win. If we could stay in it early and often, I think we got a shot. But I think the split fan race is going to be tough.
One final thought on my end that just came to mind, reading some of the fan comments on our Facebook group page. And I think a few people said it perfectly. Dre Davis did what he did was best for his young family, but at least he's out of sight, out of mind, right? And, as they said, Kadary could have went anywhere in the country to get paid. He deservedly deserved to get that kind of money because he's a great player. But going to the enemy like that is what stabs you in the heart, stabs you in the back, and that's what hurts. And that's what's going to make the majority of our fan base, I think, boo tonight because he could have gone anywhere he wanted except St. John's. Heck, if he went with the UConn to a Seton Hall grad coaching us, I wouldn't be booing the guy. But St. John's, to Seton Hall fans, like Rutgers, they are the enemy. Plain and simple. All right, guys, we're almost tip-off time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, of course. Enjoy the game tonight. I hope I'm going to be watching on I got to start DJing in 10 minutes, actually. So I'm going to be watching on my iPad while the football game's on the big screen down there. And someone's got to teach Stack Monster how to turn his mic on. So, but again, Glenn, congratulations if you watch this later. And when you do watch this later, you got to figure out where to turn the mic. I'm out. Bobby Blackjack. We had my co-host Nick from Milburn, Paul Justafan, Nick from enemy territory, and the Stack Monster, who's getting his kudos tonight, and he well deserved. We're out. We'll see you, Pirate Nation, Pirate fans. We'll see you guys and gals next week. Be good.
Thanks a lot, Blackjack.
Go Pirates.
Go Pirates.